Hello, my name is Tom Ford. I'm recording this for Drive Tribe Barbershop, although not in a barbershop because we're all on lockdown, so I'm recording this from my slammed Dacia Duster, which is about a foot lower than it should be standard. Slightly different, slightly more lockdown-y, but hello Drive Tribe. My name is Tom Ford and I'm a motoring journalist, TV presenter now and again, and a little bit of a kind of automotive adventurer. I'm usually somewhere daft in a completely inappropriate car. Getting a job on Fifth Gear consisted of going to an industry party, finding John Bentley, who I think was producing some of it at the time, and then wandering up to him and saying, I can do better than that. And he said, prove it. And they had a screen test the following week, and I basically turned up in a yellow Vauxhall VX220 Lightning, as I remember, and in a very stupid and showy-offy way skidded it into the car park and said hello, and then promptly tried to get out of the car, tripped over the seatbelt and fell flat on my back. And weirdly, I kept on talking the whole time, and I think it was at that point they knew that I might make a good TV presenter, because even when it goes wrong, I'll just keep going. I used to enjoy anything that I was into. So I remember doing the Vauxhall VXR 500, which was a supercharged VXR8 around my way. Or was it just a Monaro? And anyway, absolutely loved the cars when they were big and silly. We did some great crash tests as well. What else? Did some great builds with Johnny Smith back in the day, some of which are still on YouTube, some of which ended with me in hospital. I remember once going around Rockingham in a Ford Focus ST with him, and he was doing 120 mile an hour tip-ins off the banking in a front-wheel drive car and getting it to drift, even though obviously he had no rear drive. And we got back to the pits and he was chatting the whole time. I mean, full on, crossed up, throwing the car around, chatting, not bothered. When we got to the pits, he'd rubbed the entirety, you know, the writing on the side wall of the tyres, it'd all gone, all of it. They were just naked. Early days, fashion choices. Whoa! I had a strong sense of fashion, and it wasn't always good. I once, obviously, if anybody's seen the YouTube videos, crashed a Bedford Rascal, which I'd modified to be a drift car, and I went for a victory lap, crashed into a concrete barrier and broke my leg. So the new show is on MotorTrend on demand. It's called Hard Sell, and it's all about extreme EVs.
In this episode of Hard Sell, we investigate the rise of the electric hypercar. Is the future of fast really made of electrons?
So basically, I'd been hearing all about these extreme cars that are electric power only, and everyone seems to talk about electric vehicles in terms of being good for the environment and commuter cars and all that kind of stuff, or they're just very fast in a straight line. There's a load of press releases about 2,000 horsepower supercars, about electric motorsport, about how these cars were going to be iconic and all of that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to test the theory. So we've done exactly that. We've gone out and looked at whether you can have an iconic EV, gone and driven some electric hypercars and looked at the tech that's coming. We've looked at whether you can actually have an adventure car that's electric powered. And then we've gone to look at electric motorsport and whether it will actually compete with, you know, the traditional motorsport that we all know. Some of it is absolutely mind-blowing and brilliant, and some of it just doesn't work. It's going to be interesting where it all goes, and I think Hard Sell is taking a look at how far along that path we really are. I think motorsport was really interesting because I have an idea in my head of what motorsport cars look, sound and feel like, and I got to drive a load of them, and I was surprised at how good they are at being motorsport cars. And in fact, a lot of it, the only things they really miss are the noise, and that's pretty much it. I mean, they've got the ability to race. The range is still ropey, so I wouldn't be expecting endurance racing from Motorsport very soon, but as far as the actual performance of the vehicles goes, they're incredible. I also really like doing adventure because we just went out in the desert, which is where I'm probably best suited because there's no one around. I have a Skoda Fabia. Yep, Skoda Fabia, 1 litre TSI triple. Really like the engine. I have an awful lot of test cars, so to keep up with all the new cars that are going on in the world, you know, there's over 300 new cars launched every year. Even if you were to have one every week, you'd never really keep up. So I just have a little town and airport car for when I don't have test cars. At the moment on the driveway is an Isuzu XTR D-Max, big pickup, a Bentley Bentayga Hybrid, which is a plug-in. That is a Volkswagen T-Roc, and my Dacia Duster, which I've been modifying, and like I said, I've slammed this one. So it's a Duster that's a foot lower than it should be, on Weller steel wheels, 10-inch Weller steel wheels. Got some stripes from Mission Motorsport, so it looks like a Hot Wheels now, basically, and a custom roof box, because you always need more lights in your roof box. People always ask this, and I never know the answer. The answer generally is for what. So as I've driven pretty much everything, and I love loads and loads of different things, but for different reasons. The car that always sticks in my mind, I once drove BJ Baldwin's trophy truck. So it's a 900 horsepower 38-inch wheel travel desert racing Baja truck, and it was the one that left the biggest impression on me, because you go around a corner and it would pick up the front inside wheel and oversteer whilst being a tripod, and you could drive it through 6-foot ditches at 90 miles an hour and it would just bounce. I love things like Singers, but not the really racy ones, just a nice Singerized Porsche. Big pickup trucks do it for me. I like a big estate car. I'm a bit of a cliche, really. Massive fan of a guy called Colin Furze, who's a mad inventor who just builds stuff that pops into his head. He lives near me, he's a friend, and he is one of the best things about YouTube. My favourite is always the one I'm doing at the minute. So the Dacia I love because it's cheap and I've built it cheap, and yet it looks absolutely stunning. And then another one I really loved was a Mercedes-Benz called Project Eat, E-Class all-terrain, trickless suspension, big tyres, many light bars, all that kind of stuff. And then I did like I had an X6 once that I then did a Dakar version, roof rack, massive lights, off-road tyres, off-road wheels. And my old Hilux, I do have a bit of a thing for sort of lifting things, putting light bars on them. Who knows? Maybe I'm just a frustrated backcountry boy. Which car would I like to do off-road? Do you know what? I'm keen at the moment on doing something little and funny. I keep looking at the Suzuki Ignis and thinking there's a four-wheel drive version of that with a sort of mild hybrid, which I'd really like to investigate doing a modern version of a kind of Fiat Panda 4x4. So get a little Ignis, the four-wheel drive one, out of the all-wheel drive one rather, and mod it up so that it was a little mountain goat. I think that'll be a fun project. No, wish he would. He does nice suits. He's very talented, very handsome, and incredibly rich. But, you know, not all Tom Fords are the same. Because I started going bald. So instead of, out the back here. So instead of trying to look like I got long hair to try and cover up my bald bits, I thought I'd have short hair. As well as launching Hard Sell, which I'm really pleased with, and I hope we get to do more, because there's a load of stuff to do with EVs that I want to get into that we just didn't have the time. You know, these programs are like 23 minutes long, and some of it I'd just really like to dig into, and there's tons of stuff we can do. I just launched a new website called electrifying.com with a lady called Ginny Buckley and Nikki Shields, who you might know from the Formula E. And that's all about trying to get people who perhaps are a little bit confused about what hybrids and BEVs and all the different kind of greener motoring is all about. Just give them a helping hand. It's basically made for people like my dad, who thought that if you put an electric car in a car wash, you'll get electrocuted. One interesting thing about being a motoring journalist is that you always strive to make complex things simple. You have to understand it to be able to explain it simply. So going back to my roots and trying to figure things out and make sure that you don't use too much jargon and stuff like that has been really good for me. So this is the quickfire round. I'm going to answer very quickly. Go. Contractually obliged to say Top Gear, because otherwise they'll fire me. I'm still the associate editor of the magazine. I'm not much of a supercar person. Lamborghini, I just don't see myself as a Ferrari guy, but I do like the LaFerrari and the 488, and I do like the Pista, but the Lamborghini has got stupid more wings. Neither. Give me a pickup truck. V8, V10 or V12, V8 all day long. I have a V8 tattooed on the right hand side of my body. It's twin turbo, and yeah, V8. Just it's the people's choice. Both, obviously. You don't. It's not an either or. You do both. Neither. They're both scary and much better at driving than me. If you to ask me my ultimate road trip partner, my dog Frank, who is awesome and doesn't talk back.